Hi, I'm Aura, and we're back. We've been gone for a little bit with some fun medical stuff, but fingers crossed it can be back to normal, at least for a little bit. So I feel like we've had that cycle a few times, but we'll see if we can keep this one going for a little bit. And we will deal with it if we can't. So we're back for now, and this is going to be part 2 to a video we've done before because there's a bunch of new stuff, but these are things that we use to accommodate our POTS, which is our physical disability, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, and it's been a little bit and we have found a bunch of new things. So a lot of these could probably apply to some other physical things as well, but these are some of those things. So one thing we saw people recommend a lot and then finally caved and did is we got a shower chair, which helps a lot because heat intolerance is a thing with POTS, and we can't wear compression and things like that in the shower, and so we would have a lot of blood pooling and have like the heat issues on top of it. And it helps a lot to sit down, but to not like be sitting on the floor of the shower because it's easier to get back up if we're sitting on the chair instead. But then we also got another like waterproof thing that we use as like a footstool to also help further with the blood pooling, which I don't think I've seen other people recommend, and that has helped a lot. Noticed a huge difference with that with our blood pooling, so that's great. And the rollator is the other big like mobility aid or adjacent type thing. So it's an in-between between our cane, which is not often very helpful for us, and our wheelchair, which is very helpful, but we don't always need it. The rollator also fits in some places that the wheelchair doesn't as easily. So that's our around the house one right now, and the wheelchair is more for when we are physically going places, like for appointments and things like that. We also generally are trying to organize things in such a way that we have everything that is possible to do this with that we need ever within arm's reach of wherever we are. One of the ways we're doing that is with this cart behind me. It's on wheels and it has 4 shelves on it, and we keep a lot of the things that we use generally, a lot of the things on this list on this cart, and then we can have it over here. We can go put it by our bed. If we're like leaving our room and hanging out outside of here for a period of time, we could bring it with, and then we would have all those things with us. There's also a few things that we have in here that we just basically wear this constantly, and so we would have these definitely within reach all the time. So there's some of that stuff. We also have some like physical therapy things that we're working on doing. So we have like these things that are like resistance bands, and there's different levels to them, so we could use like harder ones over time. We have this like grip strength thing that you squeeze. I think that's backwards. Yeah. To help with like hand wrist joint stuff and like strengthening. There's this thing that like I'm supposed to squeeze it with my legs, which is another like strengthening thing. I'm focusing on strengthening stuff for the most part because cardio type stuff is harder to do like safely with my POT symptoms. because it's so easy for me to have like cardio level heart rate without actually doing anything anyway. So it's more likely to trigger symptoms if I try to do that. So it's also important for now for us to not try to be doing exercises that require standing or like a lot of bending over or things like that. The other big thing that we have is we got an exercise bike thing that fits under our desk. We have a footrest down there, so it doesn't actually stay under our desk. I have it over here next to me. I'm not gonna wrestle it out here just to show it to you, but it's way more convenient to do that than if like we had a full-size one. We couldn't have fit that in our room anyway, but that also requires getting up and going somewhere to do that. So those are some of the physical therapy type things, on top of just slowly increasing the amount we get up on a decent day and things like that. We have a heart rate monitor that connects to an app on our phone called Tachycardia. That's just a constant heart rate monitor, and we can set alerts on there, 2 different levels of if our heart rate is going high or low, and it will beep at us and let us know that our heart rate is doing that, which helps us have an idea of how we're doing that day and if we should be taking it easier and that type of thing, or if our meds have kicked in yet, all that stuff. We also, 2 different types of things that we got for this. We have a couple things like this that are no rinse, like soap things, like body wash type stuff, that it's no rinse, so like we can do it at our desk or in bed or whatever. But we also found a way to kind of DIY that. If we get a watertight container and fill it with water and put a little bit of like body wash in it and shake it up, we can kind of use that way too. It's kind of a makeshift like body wipe type thing. And so that can be helpful for like in between showers and whatnot, and also like if we need to wash our hands but we don't need to get up, that type of thing. It can be very, very helpful, and it's a lot cheaper than buying a lot of wipes. We've also done that with if there's just a tiny bit left in a body wash thing that we can't really get out to use normally. If we put water in there and shake it and then put that in a container to use like that, it is an amount that we would have basically thrown away otherwise, or would have been way harder to use otherwise. So yeah. We also found out about the existence of mouthwash tablets, which are a lot easier for us to store and use like in bed or at our desk and stuff, instead of having to deal with it in the bathroom, which is also very helpful. We have our desk pillow thing. I did not have this on, but it looks like this, and we're able to put it like this where it sticks like in between a blanket that's in the way. It, like the armrests of it managed to just fit in between the armrests of our desk chair, which is perfect because it holds it in place better, but also because we have a like lumbar support pillow thing, which that should have also been on this list. I think I forgot it, but we have that, which then makes the normal armrests on this chair not high enough, but then these are high enough, and then we can obviously put things on this. Charlie likes to go on this sometimes, but we can put food on here, we can like knit and crochet on top of this, all kinds of stuff. We can bring our keyboard closer, especially if we're leaning back our chair somewhat. Those types of things. We could also use this in bed and stuff, but we mostly use this here. We have a mattress topper that helps some with like muscle soreness and joint stuff, which that could be helpful anyway with a bunch of other types of issues. We found a way to remote desktop with our laptop to our desktop computer, because there are things we can do on this computer that we can't do from our laptop otherwise. And so we can do some things like that. We've even done a little bit of editing like that when we have to be in bed, but we want to be doing things like that. So that has been really helpful. We also have a couple heat things. We have a heating pad that covers our shoulders, the back of our neck, and our whole back, which is really nice. And then we have a heated massager thing too. It's like an electric massager that we can put on our neck or different places on our back and stuff. Also, some of our ice packs can also go in the microwave and be hot pads instead of ice. We have a bunch of ice packs for different things. We have different size ice packs for like different parts of our body, ones that are like flexible but still last a decent amount of time, because we found a lot of flexible ones only last like 20 minutes, which we usually need more than that, and that would require having multiples of them to switch them out of the freezer and getting up a bunch more, because we don't have a freezer in here. But we also have like the migraine ones that you put on your head, and those don't last as long. Those have that problem, but we will at some point have our mini fridge in here again, and they're small enough that they can fit in the tiny little freezer part of the mini fridge, so we'll be able to swap them out like that once we are able to do that. But in the meantime, we can go grab them and at least have it for like 20 minutes while we're waiting for meds to kick in type thing, which is still helpful. We have one that's, oh, it's right here. It's not actually frozen right now, but it just goes around my neck like that. You can't actually see it now, but it goes like that. It doesn't have to be in the freezer to freeze, which I had not heard of that before, but it's some kind of special technology that freezes at like warmer temperatures than normal. So I can put it in the fridge to freeze it, which again will be really nice when I have a mini fridge in my room. But if it's decently cold air conditioning, that will also freeze it, and I could bring, like I've put it in between other ice packs and had that refreeze it. It comes with a little bag that's watertight, and you could put ice water in it and have that refreeze it. So there's a bunch of ways to do that. And it lasts a semi-decent amount of time depending on the temperature in the room. So on days where my air conditioner isn't totally keeping up, or if I have to leave the house and it's warm, it helps a lot with temperature regulation stuff. And then we also have like hard ice packs that are less fragile, that we can like hold in bed if it's really warm, just like put a pillowcase or something around them, or a towel or whatever, or we can put them in our lunchbox. You can kind of see behind me that we use kind of instead of a mini fridge, basically, to keep drinks for the most part cold and close by. So we have those things. We were doing that same concept with a bigger cooler, like the kind that you would use like as a reusable thing for like getting groceries. But that was a little bit more obnoxious to stay on top of, but I could fit more things in it. So, but it hasn't been as worth it since we've been able to get up a little bit more frequently. It hasn't been as worth it to deal with that. And we have a lot of, it was mostly for like food stuff, because drinks can easily fit in there. So between being able to get up more frequently on average, and we have a lot of food things that are shelf stable and can stay in here without having to be cold, and then we just microwave it or whatever. Snacky stuff and like normal meals, canned and other shelf stuff that we can just put in there. So that also helps to not need to deal with that as much, but it is an option. And we did the same thing. We kept ice in there and we just swapped it out when it wasn't ice anymore. So we had that. We tried wrist compression. We've done a few things because we're having trouble with our wrists, particularly for like knitting and crocheting stuff, which really sucks. We actually took custom stuff off of our Etsy for that reason for now until we have it like more like well accommodated, and ideally until we also know for sure if we are causing problems by pushing through that. But we have different like wrist and hand compression things that we've tried. We also have, they're like heated gloves, like electric heated gloves, and we have like mini ice packs that we can put like in between layers of compression stuff, so we have options for hot and cold. We've been trying those various things. Also for shoulder stuff, we've tried joint tape. We haven't done it as much as we wanted to try it because we can't put it on our own shoulders, but I think it's something we'll try more over time. But because I think our shoulders like to sit forward, which probably isn't great, so I want to like encourage them to stay back there. But we also got like a posture thing. It's not over here, but it does a bit of like torso compression too, but it has straps that go up here that I can tighten to try to hold my shoulders like that too. And I do think that helps. It doesn't like force them to be back, but it puts enough pressure on it that it's very noticeable to me if I'm bringing them forward a lot. So it's, at minimum, it's like a reminder to like try to correct that. So I've tried those things, and then I have a few different like electrolyte salt things. So ones we've been using the longest, and we have a few different flavors of these. It's this brand of electrolytes, which is the one that we looked up that has the most salt in it, because that's what our doctor wants the most for us, is high sodium. One serving of this is 810 milligrams of sodium, which is very good. And we sweeten it more than what's in it, but it has some sweetener in it already, but it's not sugar. So if that matters for you, it's not specifically sugar, but we also add separate sweetener to it to help. But that is one of the big hits that we do for electrolytes, and we just put it in these little bottles. And then we have, it's one of the ones that I keep in here, I think it's this one, yeah. These are electrolyte fast chews, but these are like flavored, and they have salt and the other electrolytes and stuff in them. I think these are a lot lower. It's really hard to put a lot of salt in something that still tastes good, which is why it's so impressive that that other one can do it. But this is like 125 milligrams per 2 tablets, but it's chewable. So one of the things I've been trying to do is have different options for solving the same problem. So if I'm having trouble with drinking a lot of something or taking a pill or whatever, if I have multiple ways to accomplish it, that's really nice. I also have, it's not next to me, I have salt capsules. I had tried salt pills before, but I couldn't handle it because it's so salty. But capsules, you don't actually taste it. So even though I'm not like fast at taking pills, it still doesn't get salty, so I'm able to actually do it. It's not as much per capsule as it would be for a pill, but for like a tablet, but it's still enough that I don't have to chug one of these in the morning. So I have more than one way to do that, which is very helpful. And I have to take a million meds in the morning anyway, so it's just part of that routine now. And then I don't have to make this as concentrated, and I don't have to do a huge amount of a really concentrated version of it all at once, which is a lot harder to do, especially if I don't feel particularly good. So that is very helpful. And then I've been doing, for like non-electrolyte based drinks, for throughout the day when I already have salt coming from different places, like all of those things, or like foods that are really salty, which I try to do a lot of that. There's a lot of canned foods that are really salty, ramen type foods are really salty, etc. I also am doing something where I make like a really concentrated small amount of tea. Like I put this-ish amount of water in here, heat it up, and then put a tea bag in there for the normal amount of time. And then I sweeten it a little and fill the rest with milk. So I'm basically making tea flavored milk. And I can sip on that throughout the day to keep like the fluid part of the hydrating up as well as the salt part. So all of those things. I also have, do I have one handy? I do. I found things like this that have these separate compartments, and I like using this style one for snacky things because I get sick of individual things really easily. So I can put a bunch of different ones in here and then really easily take it with me different places, and I can use that like generally the way you use snacks, but I'm not supposed to eat big meals if I can help it. I'm supposed to have smaller amounts throughout the day, and it can help if like I've gone too long without eating by accident and I need to do something to help me get to the point where I can eat my next meal. And a lot of snacks are really salty, and so it can help with all those things. This is not quite as specifically a POTS thing, but POTS does also have brain fog. So technically it's tied into there a little, but it's more for like memory things and general organization of information. But we found Notion, which is like a program. There's a desktop version, a mobile version, and a like browser version. But it's free. Like the free version has easily all of the features that we need for it, and it has lots of like pretty detailed ways that we can organize things and connect those things to each other. And we do basically all of our organizing of everything on there. We keep track of the things we're watching, we budget on there, we keep track of our like upload schedule, we plan videos on there, we do symptom tracking on there, we track switches on there. We're not 100% on top of any of these things, but we try to be. We keep track of like to-do list type stuff, scheduling type stuff, shopping lists, like just all the things. And we have found it very helpful. There's a lot of like really simple things, but there's also more complicated, intricate things for how I can set it up. So I like it a lot. I can make like databases that talk to each other, and the same spot that has the planning for a video also has the scheduling and tells me what step of the process I'm on. So if I've filmed it but haven't edited yet, and so on. And I really, really, really like it. It's very helpful. And then generally just like a mindset thing, a lot of rules that I have in my head about things are really flexible. And it's not like lazy or stupid or whatever to change things to make them work for me. And it's kind of silly not to if it's not like causing any problems to make that change, and it is causing problems to not be able to do the thing or to push through it in ways that are bad for me and all of that. So there are a lot of things that I can do sitting down, even if I think they are normally done standing. It like isn't lazy to keep stuff within reach whenever possible. All that stuff. So that mindset is something I try to remind myself of very frequently and set things up like that and try to solve problems in that way when I can. Also, none of this is sponsored. I know we said a couple specific like brands of things, but they're just things that we like, and there are multiple versions of probably all of those that you can do. These are just the ones that we have and that we like, but we have no like relationship with any of those specific items or brands. There are definitely ones that we would be interested in that down the road, but we're definitely not a big enough channel yet for brand deals. But yeah, not sponsored. Thank you for your patience with us as we take unplanned and often extended breaks from doing most content. Hopefully we will be getting back into it now and staying somewhat on top of it, at least for a little bit. That is our goal, and we have been planning some things in the meantime. We also did just meet our next subscriber goal, so we have another switching compilation in the works. We did just post one for the channel anniversary, but we have another one in the works for that. So thank you for helping us meet that goal, and we're gonna keep trying to make stuff. We love it, and we like that you guys like it, so we're gonna try to get more on top of that. We're planning very soon to do a Patreon special offer, so keep an eye out for that. You can follow it for free in the meantime if you want to make sure you don't miss the things that we post for free, or if there's a special offer you'd be interested in. And yeah, turn notifications on for things in case we're not on a predictable schedule. And we will see you for more things very soon. Check out the things in the description and like and comment and all of those things. Subscribe if you haven't. And thank you for watching. Bye.